Welcome to the Own Your Day AI podcast, powered by Rescue Time. Here we turn Rescue Time's blog posts into engaging conversations that help you learn and grow. Let's get started.
Okay, let's unpack this. You know that feeling. You're meant to be like completely zoned in on something critical. Maybe you're a dev deep in the code.
Architecting something complex.
Exactly. And then wham, pulled into a meeting. Then someone needs UX input right now. It's like you're juggling all these different hats constantly.
That juggling, yeah. That constant mental gear shift. That's exactly what we're going to dive into today. It's context switching. And, well, it feels normal, right? Busy day, but the impact is bigger than you think.
Totally. And that's really the mission for this deep dive, isn't it? To get under the hood of how all of this jumping around tasks, tools, projects, how it actually messes with our productivity, our focus, and honestly, just feeling good about what we got done.
And the research is pretty eye-opening. There's psychologist Gerald Weinberg. He found that just switching between two tasks can eat up like 20% of your productive time.
20% just for two things.
Yeah. And it gets worse.
Yeah.
At a third task.
Yeah.
You're looking at potentially losing 40%. So this isn't just about, scrolling Instagram when you shouldn't be.
Right. It's baked into the switching itself, the brain having to reload everything.
Precisely. The cognitive load, refocusing. And think about this. One study showed people average only, 3 minutes on a task.
3 minutes. And wasn't it even less for digital tools? Like 2 minutes.
Exactly. 2 minutes before switching. It paints this picture of just fragmented attention, little bits everywhere.
Our workdays are just chopped up.
And what makes context switching so sneaky, I guess, is that the things we're switching between often feel important. They feel legitimate.
Oh, totally. It's not like you're choosing between work and watching cat videos.
Yeah.
Usually it's more like you're on that Zoom call, right? Trying to pay attention. But then the topic shifts, doesn't directly involve you for a second, and your brain just goes, quick, check email.
Or you're coding deep in the zone, but you've got Slack open because you're worried you'll miss something urgent from your manager.
Yeah, that constant just-in-case monitoring feels efficient, but...
Yeah. But it's incredibly hard on the brain. That ping-ponging back and forth.
Yeah.
This little switch might seem tiny, but it adds up. It has this compounding impact, making deep focus almost impossible sometimes.
Okay. So the problem is clear. It's pervasive. It's costly. What can we actually do about it? The sources we looked at seem to offer some practical ways to fight back, right? Starting with how we structure our time.
Exactly. You can't just wish it away. It needs like a holistic approach, thinking about your schedule, your habits, your routines. The big idea here is carving out time for focus work.
Focus work. So the core stuff, the reason you were hired, designing, coding, writing, whatever it is.
That's it, the deep stuff. Because, even for knowledge workers, so much time gets sucked up by email, meetings, admin, sometimes the majority of the day, pulling you away from that real value-add work. Cal Newport talks about this, right? Shallow versus deep.
Right. Deep work is where the magic happens.
Yeah.
So designing a schedule for focus. What does that actually look like? What are the key parts?
Well, a big one is blocking out large chunks of time, uninterrupted time, for those demanding projects where you need to get in the flow.
Okay, big blocks. Makes sense.
And being realistic about admin time. Scheduling it, not just fitting it in. Planning proactively. And then there's this idea of themed days, which can be really helpful.
Themed days. Tell me more about that. How does that work?
So the idea is you group similar tasks together, like maybe Tuesdays are meeting and email day. You knock out all that communication stuff at once.
So you're not switching between coding and calls constantly.
Exactly. It keeps your brain in one mode for longer. Or there's that free focus buffer system. Free days are totally off limits for work stuff. Focus days are purely for that deep work. Buffer days are for emails, admin, catching up.
Interesting. Free focus buffer. It's all about reducing that mental switching cost, isn't it?
Totally. And another technique that fits right in here is time blocking. You've probably heard of it.
Yeah, I have. Scheduling out your whole day, basically.
Pretty much. Breaking the day into specific blocks for specific tasks. Not just the big projects, but scheduling time for email, scheduling breaks, scheduling meetings. Everything gets a slot.
So the temptation to jump around is less because you know email time is coming up later.
Exactly. You've already decided what you're doing when. It takes the guesswork out, reduces that pull to constantly check other things.
Okay, so the schedule is the structure, the container. But then you actually have to do the focused work during that time, which leads to building the right habits, right? Single tasking.
Precisely. The schedule is step one. Step two is actually training yourself to stay on task during those focus blocks. And single tasking, The benefits are huge. More productivity, obviously, but also less stress, more creativity even.
But it's hard. We're so wired to multitask now.
It is hard. It takes conscious effort.
Yeah.
So what can you actually do? First big one, remove distractions, like physically.
Phone in another room.
Yep. Phone away. Close unnecessary tabs and apps on your computer. Maybe even use a tool like Rescue Time to block distracting sites if you know you're tempted. Create that bubble.
Okay, control the environment. What else?
Start small. Don't try to go from constant switching to, like, 3 hours of solid focus overnight. You won't stick. Try 5 minutes or 10.
Seriously? Just 5 minutes?
Yeah. Use a timer. Do 5 minutes of pure focus on one thing. Then take a break. Build up gradually. It's like training a muscle at the gym, right? You start with lighter weights. Build confidence, build stamina.
Right, consistency over intensity, maybe? I like that gym analogy. And what about those internal distractions? I remember reading about drains and incompletions.
Yeah, Dr. Gloria Mark's research. That's crucial. We interrupt ourselves a lot. Those drains, they're the little nagging things. That email you haven't answered, that quick question you need to ask someone.
Like stuff buzzing around in the back of your head.
Exactly. They pull at your attention even when you're trying to focus on something else. So dealing with those proactively, like clearing your inbox regularly, handling quick tasks promptly, can really lower that internal urge to switch.
Got it. Clean up the external and internal clutter. Okay, so we've scheduled focus time. We're building single tasking habits. What about the transitions between tasks? There was this term, attention residue.
Yes, attention residue. That's from Professor Sophie Leroy. Really interesting idea. It basically means even when you stop doing one task and move to the next, part of your brain is still thinking about the old task.
So finishing task A doesn't mean your brain is fully ready for task B immediately.
Not necessarily. There's this residue, this leftover cognitive activity that makes it harder to fully engage with the new thing. It slows you down, affects your performance.
That explains so much, that feeling of needing to warm up again for the next thing. So how do we, wipe the slate clean between tasks?
Well, one good strategy is batching similar tasks together. Remember the themed days. Same principle applies on a smaller scale. Process all your emails at once. Write all your reports in one block. Less mental shifting needed if the tasks are similar.
Okay, batching helps minimize the residue. What about when you have to switch between really different things? Coding to a client call, for example. That seems like prime residue territory.
Totally. And that's where routines and rituals come in handy. Short, deliberate actions that signal a shift.
Rituals, like what? We're not talking chanting, are we?
No, nothing mystical, just simple things.
Yeah.
Getting up to grab coffee, closing your laptop lid for 30 seconds and stretching, taking a quick walk around the room or even outside if you can.
So the action itself isn't the magic, it's the signal.
Exactly. It's the symbolic meaning. It tells your brain, okay, that task is done.
Yeah.
We are now shifting focus. And some research by Gino and Norton suggests these little rituals can actually make you more effective at the next task just by creating that mental boundary. It's about consciously marking the transition.
That's really cool. A little reset button you press yourself. Okay, this is all great for structuring work time, but what about just being human? You can't focus intensely all day, surely. Breaks must be important.
Oh, absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Trying to maintain deep focus for hours on end just isn't sustainable. Our energy levels naturally cycle, circadian rhythms and all that. Your brain needs downtime.
Yeah.
Pushing through constantly just leads to burnout and, honestly, worse work.
So we need more than just lunch and maybe a coffee break.
Definitely. We need to build in regular breaks. And the research highlights these things called micro breaks.
Micro breaks. Okay, tell me about those.
They're just short, voluntary breaks. Little moments to mentally and physically reset. They don't have to be long.
Like what kind of things?
Could be the 20-20-20 rule for your eyes every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds. Great for screen fatigue.
Simple. I like it.
Or a quick breathing exercise, like inhale for 2, hold 1, exhale 4, hold 1. Calms the nervous system. Or just get up and stretch. A short walk, even better if you get fresh air. Boosts blood flow to the brain.
Or maybe just watch a funny cat video for 60 seconds. Does that count?
Hey, if it's enjoyable, relaxing, and gives your brain a complete break from the work task, then yeah, it absolutely can count. It's about stepping away completely for a moment. So for you, listening, feeling that slump, maybe try one right now.
Good call. Okay, so we need breaks during the day. What about the end of the day? Does context switching stop being a problem once you clock out? Seems unlikely.
You're right, it doesn't just vanish. Being able to properly disconnect from work is crucial for resting your brain so you can focus the next day. If work thoughts are still swirling, well, you're not really resting, are you? Cal Newport talks a lot about this end-of-day transition.
All right, the deep work guy. What does he suggest for, like, shutting down properly?
He has a few key steps. First, explicitly review your day. What did you finish? How much focus time did you get? Again, maybe using data from something like rescue time.
Okay, acknowledge the progress.
Then, organize any unfinished stuff so it's not rattling around in your head. Update your to-do list, put things on your calendar for tomorrow or later, get it out of your brain and into a trusted system.
Capture the open loops.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then maybe a quick glance at the week ahead just to ease any anxiety about what's coming. And finally, create a shutdown ritual.
Another ritual.
Yeah, something consistent that signals work is over. Closing the laptop and putting it away, tidying your desk, maybe even saying out loud, shut down complete. Sounds silly, but it works.
Creates that clear boundary. Work brain off, home brain on.
Right. The goal is to work harder and more effectively when you are working so you can properly switch off and have more meaningful time outside of work.
Okay, this all sounds fantastic in theory, but putting it into practice, especially when you work with other people, that feels like the tricky part. How do you change your habits without disrupting the team?
That's a really important point. It definitely takes effort, and communication is key when others are involved. It's not always easy.
So what's the advice for someone listening who wants to try this but needs to navigate colleagues and bosses?
First step, understand your own patterns. Use a tool or just track manually for a bit. Figure out where your time actually goes. Where are the biggest context switching culprits for you? Get some data.
Okay, analyze first. Then what?
Yeah.
Talk to people.
Yes. Communicate clearly. Explain why you want to try, say, blocking out focus time. Frame it around being more productive and doing better work for the team. Use that data you gathered. Make it a data-driven conversation, not just a personal preference.
If I can get 2 hours uninterrupted, I can finish this report faster and better for everyone. Something like that.
Exactly. And treat it like an experiment. I'd like to try time blocking for the next 2 weeks and see how it impacts my output. Be flexible. Find what works for you and fits the team dynamic. And, emphasize the health aspect too. Less burnout is good for everyone. Track your progress.
Makes sense. Data, communication, experimentation. So, wrapping things up, it feels like mastering focus, pushing back against this constant switching.
Yeah,
It's becoming almost like a superpower in the modern workplace.
it really is. When you hear stats like workers losing potentially up to 80% of their productive time to context switching, well, being able to avoid that gives you a massive edge.
80% is huge.
It's wild. Catherine Price, who wrote How to Break Up with Your Phone, talks about how exhausted and inefficient our brains become from trying to multitask all the time. And work isn't getting any simpler, right? It's only getting busier.
True. The demands just keep increasing.
So resisting that pull to switch constantly, it's not just nice to have anymore. It's becoming essential. Essential for hitting your goals and, frankly, for feeling good about the work you do. Multitasking, as we've said, is basically a myth. Focused single tasking is how you actually get more done, better, and in less time.
So, okay, let's bring this deep dive home. The big takeaway is context switching is a massive productivity drain, a focus killer, really. But, and this is a good part, there are real practical things we can do about it.
Absolutely. It's about being intentional, scheduling for focus, building those single tasking muscles, using routines to smooth transitions, taking proper breaks, and creating that clean break at the end of the day.
And the payoff isn't just getting more stuff done, right? It's about feeling less stressed, more in control, happier with your work.
Huge benefits beyond just the output numbers. Quality of life, really.
Okay, learner, your final thought to chew on. Think about your own day. Where does context switching hit you hardest? Is it the notifications, the meetings, the sheer number of projects? Pick just one of those triggers. And then think about one small thing, maybe from our discussion today, that you could try maybe even starting now or tomorrow morning to push back against it. Could you schedule just 30 minutes of focus time? Turn off email alerts for an hour. Try a shutdown ritual tonight. Give it a shot. Explore these ideas and see what difference even a small change can make.
Thanks for joining us on the Own Your Day AI podcast, powered by Rescue Time. We're here to help you turn insights into action for a more productive and balanced life. Be sure to subscribe and visit our blog for more resources. See you next time.